So there are a few things that you need to know about speed paints, but one of those is that what speed paints are normally used for is a thing called slap chop. So you can prime your miniature and you can zenithal with dry brush or an airbrush, and then you do your one coat done colors with your speed paints. Or you can just paint your model white and also just cover it generously with your speed paint, and your models are ready for the tabletop. But what few people know is that your speed paints can actually do a lot more, and I've been pushing the limits of speed paints on my page to see what can be done. So I started off using speed paints the normal way by just priming my miniatures white and painting them with the speed paint, and I found that the coverage was just absolutely amazing and the colors were just so bright and so vibrant. But then I got curious and I decided to see what would happen if I layer some of the colors over each other. Because the paint is actually transparent, the bottom layer would actually show through the top one. So what I started doing was I would take an orange, for example, and I would put a pink over it to create a red, but it makes this dynamic kind of red that will shift a little bit pinkish in the light, and it was really a lot of fun to try it that way. Because speed paints are so pure in pigment, if you actually want to mix the colors together to get a different color, it is a little bit tricky because it's not really a 1-to-1 ratio, so it's going to take a while to get the color that you like. Another thing I've been doing is I was curious to see if it's actually possible to do glazing with speed paints, kind of like how you would do acrylic glazing, but just with the process of using speed paints instead of acrylics. But I inverted the process, starting with my highest highlight first, moving into my mid-tone and then into my dark tone, and glazing the transparent paints over each other actually gets you to a gradient without mixing different shades of paint. So for example, with just 3 shades of paint, you can get a pretty cool looking gradient. Another thing I like to do with my speed paints is wet blend them. I found that if you are patient and you move rather quickly, you can wet blend right on the model before it dries, but use lots of speed paint medium and put some speed paint medium down on the model as well before you start blending your different colors together, and layer those a couple of times to get the effect that you want. Another thing I love doing is using my acrylic models that I painted and using speed paints to just put those shadows into the shades by just thinning the speed paints to the right consistency with your speed paint medium and just adding the shadows into the crevices without you actually having to shade by glazing. Now, one of my absolute favorite things to use is actually the speed paint medium. What I've been able to do with it is really thin my paint so I can start making interesting different gradients. And the best thing about speed paint medium is you can actually make filters with it. If you just take a couple of drops of speed paint medium and the tiniest brush tip of magenta, you can make a filter to go over your gradients to unify them and make them look smoother to the human eye. Another thing I love doing with my speed paint medium is actually thinning my acrylics with it. It feels like I get a lot more control when I use that as well. Another interesting thing you can do with your speed paint is you can actually mix them with your acrylics to get the color that you like, even if you don't have the correct color at home. So you can darken your blues, or you can make interesting purples. You can do so much with your speed paints mixing into your acrylics. Now, my absolute favorite way of using speed paint is to actually use it in my airbrush, and what I love about it is you get the most bright and vibrant colors, and you can also make incredibly beautiful gradients with just 2 or 3 paints, because the paints are transparent and they will layer and change the color as you go. So for example, I made this gradient using a yellow and a pink, which is called Maize Yellow and Familiar Pink, 2 of my absolute favorite colors, and you can see how bright and vibrant the Maize Yellow is. And then I went into orange by layering it with the pink, going into pinkish reddish, and then I used just a little bit of Magna Cast magenta at the bottom. So you can see a very bright, dynamic and interestingly mixed gradient, very smooth transitions as well. So if you're interested in trying speed paints, there are a lot of options for you. The first one is this amazing speed paint starter set. It has some of my favorite colors inside and everything you need to paint the model that comes with it. So you get to test it out and see if you like it for yourself. Now, if you know you like speed paints and you want to level up a bit, they also have the Speed Paint Mega Set. It has 50 different colors inside, and I've used this one for quite a while, and I was able to layer some of the colors to get more colors that I like, but there is an even bigger option if you're serious about your speed paint. Now, this bad boy is the Speed Paint Complete Set, and it features a whopping 90 colors and so many options that I have absolutely no idea what to do with all of them. The metallics alone are 8 different metallics, and there's something to be said about Speed Paint metallics. The coverage is incredible. You can get away with one layer no problem, and it really solves the problem of a hell of a lot of trim if you have some of those models to paint. So what I'm getting at is that I rigorously put speed paint through its paces, stretch the limit to see what's possible, and I can say with confidence that I absolutely love them. The colors are vibrant, the coverage is great, you can do so much more with it than you actually think, and I definitely think it's worth a try, and I would love to see more people experimenting with it to see what speed paints can actually do.